Hi there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the unedited, unscripted explanation of Steal the Skies, the upcoming campaign that starts in, as part of this recording, in time of this recording, in 3 days. That's exciting. Today, we're going to be going over the character sheets. So, players, you have two character sheets. There's the Excel document character sheet that I have provided to everybody. This is going to be your reference character sheet where a lot of your beginning stuff will be going off of, and then you have a second character sheet, that being the final sheet that's in Roll20. The reason why we have two different documents is that this one you manually handle, you adjust everything that needs to be done, such as attributes, make sure that everything adds up correctly, have reference to what your maximums are, even though that's in the final. But also something that's important to have in this sheet that won't be in the other sheet is your base HP and base MP. The reason why you want that to be separate is because if you get an item that gives you a temporary plus 10% HP or MP, then it would be great to have this here as its own thing, so that when you take off the item, you no longer have that 10% HP bonus. You don't have to constantly adjusting back and forth and remembering what your base stuff was. So it's just here, and you have that. Today we're going to be looking at Pseudo's character sheet, so that because there is something that I need to add to the final sheet that we will get to. So let's go through everything. This is the movement and jump for your character. The calculation for that, this is based off of squares. The calculation for that is 2 plus your speed divided by 5 or your agility divided by 5, depend on your movement or your jump. That is also referenced in the job sheet that we went over a couple episodes ago, so you can always go back there if you're ever confused. Like I said before, these are the attributes that you can adjust when you get a new level up. Over here, you can keep your track of your XP, your gil, your job points, your key points. You can also keep track of your gil and XP on the final sheet. Whichever one, you could have them match. You could keep track of them on one of them. That's entirely up to you. I recommend keeping track of the job points and key points on this sheet, though, since job points are new to this specific game compared to the system, and key points are, I don't remember them being listed in the final sheet. So, yeah. The combat stats down here, you don't really need to adjust that at all. This is all calculated based off of using this sheet. The only thing to keep in mind is down here, vitality bonus and spirit bonus. If you level up and gain yourself an attribute and you put it in vitality or spirit, one of these two stats might go up, and you need to make sure that that is calculated correctly or reflects correctly in the final sheet, since that's where your armor and everything is at. Advantages, disadvantages, we already went through character creation where you develop those. That's completely normal. Skills, so there's a lot of different ways to do skills. I highly recommend having the skills that you have an aptitude for, putting the points that you put in here based off of that aptitude, and then putting in the raw numbers that you put in here, just so that you have reference of how many points you have put in, so that it can match how many you should have put in. If you have an aptitude in Scholastic, also having in the raw numbers for over here would work perfectly, of points that you put in. Over here, you can put an inventory. You can do that on the final character sheet. Same with key items. That's entirely up to you. And down here is abilities. You can have a second reference for your abilities that you could have here. You could decide not to. I prefer to at least have the ability name and the job that they're from in case you need to reference them in the future. But we can definitely go into how to create ability. We're definitely going to be going into how to create abilities in the final sheet. So that could be use. So it's entirely up to you if you want to go into the MP cost, damage, the range, hide, AoE effect, everything like that. Here, entirely up to you. Pseudo set up so that he can reference his advantages and disadvantages over here. That's really nice. That's really handy. And also, what we have set up is that, or at least I helped set up his inventions. If you are going into engineering class, or taking any inventions from the engineering class, it is important to have the tier of the invention so that you know how many slots it has, including what it can do, but more importantly, the parts, because you can disassemble and reassemble invention parts as much as you want. It's also important to have the defect and what the intended purpose of the invention is. So that is the base character sheet. Now let's go into the final character sheet. So I have Roll20 up, as you can see on the screen. This is between games. I'm going to leave everything on this screen so that in case a team needs a player or a team needs to come back, needs to test some stuff with their abilities, with their weapons, make sure that all the calculations and everything makes sense, makes that it works, that they can hit against the test dummy. So the place where you find the character sheet is up here. You'll find the tabs, chat, journal, jukebox, collection, and my settings. The jukebox we don't really handle since we have a bot in Discord for that. Macros, this kind of stuff. This is in case you need to pull out a deck of cards that I have set up for people. We could definitely get to that with the minigame section. But more importantly, what we're doing here is in the journal section, you have all of these. You have the boats that you can see. This is going to be different for everybody depending on what they have visible to them. And so, since we're going to be adding the inventions to Waylon, let us open his character sheet. So there are 3 sections here: bio and info, character sheet, attributes and abilities. You can put anything that you want in the bio and info, just for references, backstory, stuff like that. Over on the attributes and abilities, it's all background calculation stuff based off of what you put in the character sheet. So in the character sheet, you have this little tab up here is the player sheet. You don't need to push that button because if you do, it would go to if you were a monster or an NPC. But that's not really useful. So on this sheet, let me make it bigger. You have the stats that we saw before with Max. We saw the ratings. There's your HP that if you do have, which should match the base sheet, but if you have something that gives you a plus 10% to one of those, as we discussed before, it can go into this sheet instead. Initiative, unless you have quick hit or haste or anything like that, you don't need to touch this bonus. Otherwise, this would be 8 if you use quick hit, or just double what the initiative is here. And yeah, Move, same thing as what we saw on the previous sheet. We can put current XP and XP for next level. This should be a 4. And yeah. Combat statistics. The currents should always match the default, unless you have something like armor up or armor down. If you have agility up, your accuracy and your evasion will go up by 25% each. Elemental affinities. All of this stuff is entirely dependent on what's going on at the time. Skills. So, we have covered skills before. This is where you're going to be putting the final number for the skills, where if you have an aptitude for, say, technical, and you put 10 points in alchemy in this sheet, you are then going to want to have 20 here, since aptitude is basically double the number of points that you put in. During level ups and stuff like that, once you reach to level 50 in a skill, you can only put 2 points in. And by that, I mean 2 points in the final. So if you have aptitude in something like... oh, this should be 56. Once you have... Because, yeah, down here. Once you have aptitude in say technical, if you need to put 2 in the final, that would be putting 1 in on the base sheet. Also, every level up you get 10 skill points, and that is 10 for the base sheet. So once you get all of your skills to level 50, you'll basically be putting, and if you only have aptitude skills, or skills that you have aptitude in, then you'd be putting in 1 point in every skill, every level, basically. This counts for lores and languages. Lores and languages have 6 points that you get every level. And yeah. Next up, we have the background. You can fill this up as much as you want, as much as you need to, including appearance, alignment, whatever you want. Background, ideals, goals, quotes, anything like that. Advantages, disadvantages, traits. I need to still fill this out for pseudo. But traits are entirely dependent on what we filled out for kind of the social, the personal stuff during character creation, and any other notes that you might want. Job specifically. So job, this should be filled out. And all that good. Weapon restrictions, this can be, you can fill this out as the weapons that you can hold. But specifically, let us go into adding the job ability of Wayland's grappling hook. Let's see, this is going to be the accuracy trigger, which means let's fill this out. Grappling hook. Mention tier 1 is a pass action, since the defect that was selected is backfire. Is going to be an enemy, has a range of 3, single AoE. There's going to be an attack roll, a threshold, a damage, and let's say, yeah, it'll be an effect. Boop. So, what we want to do when there's a new attack that you're going to give, a new ability, You want to most abilities should have all of these calculations already created. At least in the weapons section that we went through in creating characters, but basically if you ever need to go through it again, you have the attack macro. This is basically to roll the D100 with a 95 causes a botch, and with a crit that with 10% chance to crit. And this is the calculation that determines what the threshold, what you need to roll under is. And down here is the damage macro that does the roll for the actual attack. And the damage type, physical, and so. And so we're basically going to be giving it an extra chance of success macro, an extra calculation to determine if they hit themselves, if Wayland hits himself. 10% chance to hit user with attack instead. If it does, then when you do the targeting, you will then have to do another target onto the onto your own token instead. Let me double check. Okay, yep. And everything should be looking good for there. Let me cut back. Oh, wait. Right. And let us try out the attack. Use. Boop. Oh. Sometimes it can be a little finicky. Sometimes gotta figure out why something isn't working. Oh, maybe because this page doesn't have weapon crit as a thing. So let's exile that. Let's still having issues. Well, we'll figure it out. Oh, wait. Is that right? Wait, CS, CF. CF? Maybe now? Hey, okay. So that... Not exactly what I'm looking for. Figure it out. We'll figure it out. If you have any questions about anything on the character sheets, down here at the very bottom, there is the link to the creator's profile, which then you can view topics. And then there's all these topics. The main one for the release is called the FRPG, the Final Fantasy RPG 3rd Edition Initial Release. Scroll down a little bit, and you have in-depth explanation of what each thing does. So if something isn't working right, the answer should be here. No, I'm busy. So, now that we're exiled of that, let's try this one more time. No, still not exactly doing what I'm looking for. Oh well. I'll play with it for a little bit. That's what that whole section is for. So, there's a lot of things that you can do to play with these abilities. To create them, have them be however you want. And, yeah. So one thing I do want to mention, this section over here, this is going to be for abilities that, for what you want written down in the text box when you hit the ability, and this will be for your own notes. Moving on, we have the weapons section, where where it's all about, every weapon that you have, you can put in here. The box is pretty much the same as with the jobs. Next up, we have magic. So there's a section, intuitive magic. This is for notes on intuitive magic that you have figured out, that we have figured out together. This is for call magic, for calls that you summon if you take any of the summoning magic. And the rest of them are for spells. Specific spells in the rulebooks. For those of you that don't know, the intuitive magic is kind of role play magic, where you say like, oh, I want to make a giant ball of light, and then we work together to figure out like how long you want it to last for, how big it's going to be, how much it's going to illuminate. If you know a spell that is of that family that will help you, and then we can decide how much it will cost for what you're trying to do it for, and the chance of success for being able to do it. Once we've ruled all that, you can write it down in intuitive magic so that we can reference it later if you want to do it again. Next up, we have armor. This is going to be all the armor that you need. There's 3 sections of armor, technically 4, head, arms, body, and shields. They all have an armor rating, M armor rating, evasion and M evasion rating, and abilities that you can add on. That is going to be the mainstay. The big important thing of this campaign is the abilities that you're going to add. One thing I do want to point out, we mentioned it before, vitality bonus and spirit bonus. When you level up and increase your vitality and spirit, this number might go up. You want to make sure that these go up with it, as 1.2, 1.15 is where they're at now. So if the next step happens where Wayland's spirit bonus becomes 0.2, then it will become a then they'll need to add this as 1.20. The reason behind this is it affects your total armor and your total magic armor. So for example, on this page it's 710, which it would be a little bit lower if it wasn't, because for example, it's 6 when you add these up, and 9 when you add these up, and it will count a lot more the higher level you are. And last but not least, there's the inventory, where you can have loot inventory notes, consumable items, and anything here. We gotta change this to 0 because Waylon is not that is not a rich boy. So yeah, that is it. I'll figure out how to get Waylon's thing working, but this is the base and the final character sheets. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye.